Hi guys, this is Eric Lowe from Swordwind Historical Swordsmanship and Queen's Gambit. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the scoring at our tournament, especially in the longsword and side sword, where people sometimes have some questions about what we are looking for our lights out hits. So let me start with the general statement of intent here. This Queen's Gambit's longsword and side sword tournaments are intended to be a modified one-hit kill rule system. That is to say, most hits should end the action right there, lights out. However, we have some edge cases where people will only score 1 point for a hit, and the action will allow an afterblow, and that's because sometimes true one-hit systems can result in people sort of just like brushing each other with their swords as if they're lightsabers. We want people to respect their opponent's weapon. We want them to have the opportunity to try and test their skill in a situation where you might only get one pass to figure out your opponent. But we don't want people to feel like the touch that knocked them out of a bout was somehow unfair. This is ultimately a game, but it's a game that is intended to give the community an opportunity to test and hopefully enhance our skills. So let me get into what we're looking for. Thrusts are probably the easiest, the simplest way to understand a lights out kill. A thrust to the head with the dagger is a lights out kill. A thrust to the head or the body with either a one-handed sword or a two-handed sword is a lights out kill. There is one exception to that, and that is if something was so wrong with the thrust that the thrust itself was no quality. Maybe there are really only two possible ways for that to happen. Either I'm like way off balance when I am thrusting, or I am thrusting and I'm reaching and I just barely manage to touch my opponent, clearly at like the very end of my range. Either of those cases are a no quality thrust and therefore don't score anything. Please let me emphasize, that is not the same thing as stabbing somebody and being nice, right? Here too, I have just barely touched my opponent, but I could have gone farther if I wanted to. That's a lights out thrust, assuming it was to the head or to the body. It is only in the case where I have already reached and I am struggling even to make contact at all that a thrust should be scored no quality. Cuts. Cuts with the dagger cannot score lights out, so that's that. Cuts with the sword. We are looking for these criteria. One, that you are hitting not just with the tip of your sword. You can hit with the tip of your sword and really like actually solidly land on your opponent, and that will score, but that is a 1 point cut. We want you to be on or about the middle of your week. Even this much is enough. You'll see I'm not technically on the exact middle of my week. That's fine. The main point here is I am not cutting with just the tip of my sword. If I am cutting with not the tip of my sword, and my arms are extended when I land, and I did something with my lower body, that is a lights out cut to the head, to the arms, to the legs, to the hand. The one exception is that side swords cannot score lights out to the with cuts to the body. Long swords can. Long swords can score a lights out cut to the body, to the head, to the arms, to the leg, anywhere at all, provided, again, that you are not cutting with just the tip of your sword, your arms are straight when you land, and you have done something with your lower body. To be clear, anything with your lower body. You can stand there and turn your hips. That's fine. You can take a passing step. That is fine. You can take an advancing or lunging step. That counts too. You can step in the direction of your cut. You can step away from your cut. As long as your lower body is, something is happening below the waist, that's all we're looking for. Those of you who have experience with test cutting will know that that's a more generous criterion than you would need to land what we might consider a good cut in a test cutting environment. Yes, it is. I don't care. If you did anything with your lower body and the rest of the cut was good, that is lights out. Let me talk about the straight elbows. I am not saying that you can't land. You can land a lights out cut from the wrist, as long as something happened with your lower body and your arm was straight when you landed, and the place on the blade was not just the tip. What you cannot score lights out with is if your arm is noticeably bent. And please remember, we're wearing fencing jackets and we're wearing elbows. If your director can see that your arm was bent when you landed that cut, it was really bent. Please note, and this goes to my directors as well, and I will emphasize this at the tournament, straight arm does not mean locked arm. I do not want people hitting each other with locked arms and breaking their elbows. This is fine. We are looking what will turn a lights out cut into a 1-point cut is a really very bent arm. Don't cut like a T-Rex. You can cut from a bent arm. You can cut from the elbow, as long as when you land, the arm is straight. Slices. Slices are the one case where your opponent can deny you a lights out attack through their own action, not because you did anything wrong. My opponent here doesn't move, but suppose they were moving this way, and I draw my sword back from weak to strong. As they're moving that way, I am moving this way. That is a lights out. That is a lights out slice. Classic case from KDF Longsword. I have my sword under my opponent's arm. They are rushing forward to grapple me, and I rush past them, drawing the sword across their arms. He's going this way, I'm going that way. That is a lights out slice. Other situations will score a slice, but not lights out. So my opponent is standing here, and I draw my sword across her mask like that. It's not opposite directions because my opponent didn't move. That scores, but it is only 1 point. My opponent is running away that way, and I am chasing them with my slice here. That scores. That is a 1-point slice. They're moving this way. I am also moving that way. This is the movement. The movement criterion is objective. Were you moving in opposite directions, either passing or moving away? As far as no quality cuts go, the usual way to score no quality is to hit somebody with your flat. The other major way to score no quality with a cut is to just scrape past your opponent like this. This is different from a cut that scores with the tip, where I really did land the tip on them. A no quality cut just barely scrapes past. The other possible way to score no quality with a cut is usually is I am off balance somehow. I am like doing some kind of crane thing. Um, if you're on 1 foot, if you are falling over as you cut, that counts as no quality. Please note, force has nothing to do with quality. At Queen's Gambit, you can score with the force of a newborn kitten. If you can land a cut like this, everything is actually looking great here. And if I move that slow and I hit that lightly, my arm was straight, my lower body turned, I did not cut with just the tip, that's a lights out cut. Now, I might have difficulty actually landing that cut, but to emphasize, force is not part of quality, force is not part of lights out. Speed is not part of quality, speed is not part of lights out. I hope this has been helpful. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to us on Facebook, by email. We will, of course, go over this at the tournament as well for all of the people who don't watch this video, but I hope this has been illuminating for all of you. Thank you.